Welcome back, RFK Refugees. You've got John here. Ted is off doing his own thing. And I have with me Jeremy Garay of DC United. Congratulations on signing with DC United, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me, man. And thank you again, and pleasure to be here.
You're from Woodbridge, so as a Stafford guy, thank you for representing the suburbs and putting us on the map a little bit. So let's get started. DC United Academy. When did you join? About how many years ago did you join the Academy setup?
Yeah, so I joined around 5.5 years ago, and I got scouted from Arlington Soccer, and then from there I got scouted into the academy.
So I think all these people coming into the academy obviously have played for their club teams. They're either the stars of their clubs, usually the stars of their club, I imagine.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets put into a big group for the first time. What was that like, sort of being into that environment where you're maybe not the first name on the team sheet every week because maybe there's guys who've been there a little bit longer or maybe are a little bit ahead of you in their development? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely it's different. It's very different. I think at your club, like you said, you're like one of the best guys, one of the big dogs. But then coming here, it's everybody's handpicked, everybody's at a high level, and I think it's just you can't take days off pretty much. If you want to give an impression on the coach or the rest of your teammates saying like, yeah, like I'm here, then it has to be every day. Every day you have to perform well and at a high level.
That sounds like what Griffin said when we were talking about what his academy was like, which is sort of like you can't ever have a bad practice. You can't ever sort of not give 100% because that's the level. Sort of speaking of that, when did you know as you were going through that process that you might have a future career ahead of you in soccer?
Yeah, so I realized it just realizing that I could be one of those players that puts together consistent performances in games and in practice. You know, just enjoying that process of, okay, every day it has to be 100%, and I'm coming here to get better and prove to myself and to everybody that I belong.
You graduated high school this year from the DC United K-12 International Academy. And as a side note, because I always do this, it's what old people do. You graduated high school the year, or I graduated high school the year you were born, so I feel extremely old today. But let's talk about your high school experience. You finished up at the International Academy. Did you spend your whole 4 years there, or did you sort of do some high school at home and then some high school there? How'd that work out?
Yeah, actually, so I did regular high school my first 2 years of high school. So after my sophomore year, going into my junior year, I did the switch to K-12, which is just full online pretty much. And that just went into place because they wanted me to start training with Loudoun and maybe get looked with the first team training as well. And they train in the mornings. So if I was going to regular school, then that just wouldn't be an option. But no, it's definitely it's a very flexible schedule with K-12. So that helps a lot, you know, even with academy, you do travel a lot for either games or tournaments or showcases. And then with Loudoun, it's the same thing. For just one game, you'll travel a big distance. So it helps having a flexible schedule. So that helped a lot.
And you were COVID ready ahead of the game since it was online already. It was you were doing what all the rest of your former high school folks had to do the same. So I guess that's good.
Yeah, it definitely helped.
What was for you the most notable thing about each of your level jumps? So we talked already about sort of club to academy, but academy to the USL and then the USL to training and signing with the first team. I'm sure that there's, we've talked to a lot of the other academy guys where the speed is what they always talk about. But for you, what was the thing you noticed from each of those, major developmental jumps that you had?
Yeah, let's start with the academy to USL. I think there you go from playing with kids your age that are about they're like the same physical, stage, I guess, in their careers, right? So you go from playing with kids your age to grown men. So I think that was one of the biggest challenges. So now they're stronger, they're faster. So you have to be able to think quicker, know what you're gonna do with the ball before you get it. So I think that and the attention to detail, going from academy to pro, the attention to detail is a lot more emphasized, and it's just a lot more concentrated on that. You really can't take even one play off, or else either it'll get noticed and your team will get punished for it. So the speed of play is also a lot quicker.
What's been your most memorable moment with Loudoun? Obviously, from a win-loss perspective, it's been a little bit of a rough ride, I think, for you and the rest of the guys there. So that's known. But has there been a moment? You've been doing really well. You're on all the charts for chances created. You're on the charts for passing completion. Having a really good year on a team that honestly is putting a lot of chances up there. They're just not, finishing is a problem, whatever. It's a lot of close losses, but all that aside, what's been your most memorable time there playing with the Loudoun club?
Yeah, so I would say there's been two moments. I would say the first one would be my debut in 2019. That was at St. Louis. I think it was just an unreal feeling, just something it's just something that's not normal. It's an unreal feeling. And then the other one would be my first at Sager, I would say. I think just getting that start and going the full game in front of my family, in front of friends, just in front of a bunch of people that I know, and just seeing my family afterwards, seeing how proud they were. It's you just can't put it into words how that feels.
What's the biggest challenge about it? Is it sort of the grind, the training grind? Is it the travel? Like obviously you said, Academy does some travel, but I'm sure not as much as the USL side. What's been the biggest challenge for you personally?
Yeah, they definitely don't travel as much, but they still travel. But I would say the biggest challenge has been seeing that it is a job now, that these guys, they do get paid to play soccer, so it's either they have families or they're trying to make it to the next level, or whatever it may be, they take it as a job and it's taken seriously. Even in training, like, guys do not like to lose because they literally are playing for their jobs. It's not guaranteed that you get a contract next year. So just the mindset of coming in every day. It's even I said that in the academy, it was, you have the mindset of come in every day, it has to be consistent. But then at the USL or even first team, it's emphasized even more.
I got to imagine even more so with USL too, right? Because almost everybody there is on a 1-year deal for most guys. So it's you're particularly on a team that is maybe not winning as many games and also has sort of a perspective about developing talent like yourself and some of the other players that have moved through. I got to imagine that training is not cutthroat, but I imagine there's lots of very serious men on a daily basis trying to make sure that they're putting their best foot forward and making sure they are earning that next contract. That's what I would imagine anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's obviously not cutthroat that much, but it definitely gets intense. And you can tell it's not something that's taken lightly, and guys just hate to lose. They hate to lose.
Walk me through the experience when you heard that the team was looking to sign you to a contract. Obviously, you were, I believe, a commit to NC State, so that had to obviously be part of the decision process. So, yeah, talk to me about when you heard about it and what went through your mind when you were deciding what to do.
Yeah, so I heard a few weeks before they had offered that they were keeping an eye on me and seeing how I was developing and everything. But yeah, I was committed to NC State, and when I got offered, it was hard. It's choosing between going to school and starting your degree off, or either finishing it or going pro. But I wanted to be a pro for a while now, so that for me it's my dream. It's what I want to do, and I am a pro now, but it's definitely hard to make a decision there, but it's also just a very good feeling knowing that your hard work does pay off at some point, and not saying that the hard work is over now, but it's just starting. But hard work so far, it has paid off, but it's definitely it's just a good feeling.
Do you think it's easier to make that choice as a guy who's been in the academy a long time? So obviously you've been around the team. It's been basically a part of the way you've grown up. Like, this whole setup has been sort of very normal to you. Been around the first team. I'm sure you've had opportunities to train with the first team occasionally here and there. Do you think that made the choice easier for you to say, I'm ready to be a pro now? Whereas maybe some people who came in later to the setup, maybe when they were 16 or 17, just getting ready to go to college, maybe they think, I'll do the college thing and see how it goes, and then I'll come back and see what happens afterwards. Do you think that had anything to do with it?
Yeah, and I think it helped a lot. I think obviously I've been there for 5 years, so I have some type of connection with the club, with the coaches, or even the homegrowns that are there now. The Moses, Kevin, Jacob, Griffin. So I had a bond with them, so I think it definitely helped. But I think at the end of the day, it matters what you value the most. Either getting the education first and then going pro, or it's going pro now. I think for me, my family they do value education, so that's what made the decision hard for me. But this is what I wanted to do, so I think definitely going through the academy and being there for so long, I think it did help because you just have a certain feeling for the club.
Also, college isn't going anywhere. It's there for you when you're done. So I wouldn't worry about. I would never sweat that. How do obviously you talked about all the guys you know from the academy, but how about the older guys? How are the first team guys treating you in training? I assume it's not too bad because they obviously have had. I know that they were making Griffin carry around buckets of balls and stuff earlier on in his career. What's it been like for you so far?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like that. So coming from like the academy or USL, like maybe you're like one of the good or best players there, but once you get to the first team, that doesn't matter. You have to prove yourself by being respectful off the field, but then also on the field, proving that you can play with them. You know, it's not easy to gain their respect or anything because you have to prove yourself. But no, for the most part, they're very welcoming to older guys. You know, you just have to treat them with respect, and you'll get respect back.
That feels like one of the biggest predictors of success for an athlete, other than talent. Everyone's talented, right, at that level, but like people who are okay and eager to overcome that challenge. Like I think about, bad athletes like myself. Like you do a thing, you're good, and you get to a level where you're not the best anymore, and you're like, all right, well, that was fun. I guess that's as far as I go. But I feel like to succeed, you've got to continue. You're obviously going to level up. Say you play for MLS for a few years and you level up to a different league, maybe in Europe or wherever you want to go. Then you're right there again. It's exactly the same story, and you got to prove yourself all over again. Do you think that that's sort of, as you've developed and gone through academy to USL now to DC United, like, do you think that that's something you're really focused on in yourself so that you can continue to improve? Yeah,
no, for sure. I wanted to be a pro for a while, but I knew you have to go from level to level, and you have to continue to rise through that. But yeah, it's just part of the mindset that you have to adapt, and you have to just gain control over. I think, like you said, you go from level to level, and it gets harder. Maybe you're not the best guy there anymore, but it's just something that you say, yeah, like I'm gonna prove myself that I belong here, But yeah, it's definitely cool to go through that experience, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all, but it's definitely something good. It's a good obstacle to go through.
It's an ego check, I imagine, every day.
Yeah,
it's probably you're like, oh man, that's I have to imagine. So speaking of levels, what's your long-term career aspiration? Obviously, you're just sort of getting started here at MLS, but I ask Griffin, everybody, do you want to play in Europe? Like, is that where you see yours? Do you want to play Champions League? Is there a team that you think when you're sitting back and thinking about your future, is there somewhere you think you're going to be? What's your long-term horizon goal? Obviously, you're focused on the now and improving, but
yeah,
have you given where do you see yourself? Sounds like a job interview.
Yeah, at the end of the career, I think I would just want to say that I gave everything to myself, or just to be the best player possible. Just on and off the field, just doing the right things and doing everything to say at the end of the career that, yeah, I did everything possible for me to be the best player I am. But no, I think a dream would definitely be to play in Europe. I think that for most guys, that's just the place to be. But for me personally, it's to say that I gave everything to be the best player possible. And hopefully that is in Europe at some point.
Is there a team you support out there and sort of in the European
leagues? Yeah. So diehard Real Madrid fan. My whole family, diehard Real Madrid fan. So obviously,
that's a decent target.
yeah.
It's like you were going to say something like, "I'm really into Bournemouth. I'm into Everton." like sort of like I for sure, no problem. Maybe put in a call. So I guess this question kind of leads right into that. What team do you play as on FIFA, and how excited are you for the next roster update so you can play as yourself on DC United occasionally?
Yeah, so it really just depends who my opponent is, but
5-star team, obviously going 5-star online. Who are you gonna pick? Probably Real Madrid, right?
No, I pick
maybe
France.
Not this year.
I'm saying
no, not this year.
Yeah, not this year. But when Ronaldo was there, they were the team to go to. But now it's France. I think with Mbappe, he's almost like a cheat code. So it's you just have to pick them.
I feel like half of every online game, someone's France. There's always a year where there's a team where it's just like, well, I'm going to be playing that team, or I'm going to be that team. Have you had a chance to? I'm sure you have, but any conversations you've had with the new coach? Sort of, you've been in the academy long enough that you were here for half of Ben Olsen's term with the team. But have you had a chance to speak with him about, where he sees you fitting in, like what parts of your game he wants you to focus on and get better on?
Yeah, so I've had a few conversations with him, but yeah, he said he likes me as a player, and he obviously sees my strengths and everything. He sees the talent. He thinks just defensively and just getting stronger as a player. He's definitely just being more consistent in that aspect of the game, because I think everybody knows that I'm the best when I have the ball at my feet. That's the type of player that I am. I'm a very technical player, and so he just wants me to work on just getting stronger, like in the gym type stuff, because I am still 18 and I am going against grown men. So I think that would definitely help. And then just defensively, just improving on that side of the ball as well.
And he says, I'm sure have infinite stamina because you've watched the
Yeah.
team play and you see what's required. Last question for you. We asked Moses this when he was on, and he gave the answer that I was hoping he would based on the way he plays. But what player do you watch and try to model your game after? Or do you see someone sort of on the European stage where you're like, that is sort of like how I play, and at my best, that's what I'm hoping to be? Is there a player that stands out for you like that?
Yeah, so 3 comes to mind, actually. It would be Toni Kroos from Real Madrid, Busquets, and Jorginho. I think all 3 of them, they have mostly similar qualities to me as far as technical ability and passing. I think they all control the tempo for their teams with their passing, and they're not the type of players that are like, let's say, they're the superstar of the team, like a Messi or Ronaldo. But they're very important and key players to their team just because of the jobs that they do with controlling the tempo of the game and stuff like that. So I think looking at those 3 players, those are team players that I watch and just try to model my game after them.
Do you take penalties like Jorginho?
I do not. I haven't had to practice that technique.
Yeah, I think that's something you practice a little bit later in your career. I think that's a tough one to come to I do this pretty cool stutter step, Hernan. Check us out. Jeremy, thanks for joining us. I really do appreciate it. Where can people find you? Obviously, they can find you on DC United and on Loudoun United, but where can they find you on Twitter or Instagram? Do you have any accounts that you have people, if they want to follow you and see what's up?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's _ Jeremy Garay, and then on Twitter, it's Jeremy Garay 10.
Awesome. So make sure you're doing that. And thanks for joining the show this week. Again, you can always find our stuff on rfkrefugees.com. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/rfkrefugees. And we will be back on Monday with a weekend full of probably, I guess Spirit recap and maybe Gold Cup stuff. We'll see. It's actually going to be a crazy weekend with a lot of finals. The Euro finals this weekend, Copa America finals this weekend. So I imagine we'll have some good stuff to talk about on Monday. But thank you guys for joining us, and vamos.